She hid her past in the secret forces for years, until the unimaginable happened. Jennifer Thompson was adjusting the perfume bottles in the display when she felt those familiar eyes on her. 15 years had passed since she decided to bury who she had once been, building a new life as a sales clerk at Westfield Mall in New York City. But when Brian Mitchell appeared among the customers on that Saturday morning, she knew the past had finally caught up with her. "I can't believe it's really you," he said, approaching the counter with a smile that didn't reach his eyes. "Jennifer Thompson. Or should I call you by your real name?" Her heart raced, but she kept her expression neutral. She had trained for this for years, to control every bodily reaction even in extreme situations. "Sorry, I think you've mistaken me for someone else," she replied, arranging the products without looking directly at him. "Captain Reynolds," Brian insisted, lowering his voice. "Operation Falcon, March 2009. You remember, don't you?" Her hands trembled imperceptibly as she held an imported perfume bottle. Operation Falcon. How could she forget? It had been her last mission, the one that changed everything. "Mom!" Emma's cheerful voice echoed through the mall corridor. Her 16-year-old daughter approached with shopping bags, her brown hair swaying as she walked. "I found the dress for the school graduation." Brian turned to look at the teenager, and a sinister smile crossed his face. "What a lovely family you've built," he remarked. "It would be a shame if something disrupted that peace, wouldn't it?" Jennifer felt her blood run cold. All these years, she had managed to keep her family away from the world she had left behind. Michael, her accountant husband, and Emma knew nothing about who she had been before they became a family. "Emma, go to Mrs. Johnson's store and get my bag. I left it there," she told her daughter, keeping her voice steady. "I'll finish up here and we'll meet up." "Okay, Mom," Emma replied, kissing her mother's cheek before walking away. As soon as her daughter was out of sight, Jennifer faced Brian with all the coldness she could muster. "What do you want?" "Straight to the point. I've always liked that about you." He chuckled softly. "I need your help with a job. Nothing major, just a couple of days out of town." "I don't do that kind of work anymore," she said firmly. "I have a family now." "Oh right, Michael, isn't it? Accountant at his father's firm. And little Emma, who goes to St. Mary's Academy. Very cute, by the way." The veiled threat in his words made Jennifer clench her fists. Brian had always been like this, manipulative and unscrupulous. "You have 24 hours to decide," he continued, leaving a card on the counter. "If you refuse, maybe I'll have to talk to your family about your past. I'm sure they'd be very interested to know who you really are." Brian disappeared into the mall crowd, leaving Jennifer with shaking hands and an erratic heartbeat. She quickly tucked the card into the pocket of her grey uniform shirt. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us newcomers out. Now back to the story. When Emma returned, she found her mother unusually quiet. "Mom, are you okay? You look pale." "Just a little tired, sweetheart. Let's go home?" On the way back to their apartment in the Upper East Side, Jennifer tried to process what had just happened. Brian knew every detail of her current life. That meant he had been watching her for a while, studying her routine, learning about her family. Operation Falcon had been a nightmare she had tried to forget for years. A mission to rescue children kidnapped by a trafficking network at the border between the United States and Canada. She had managed to save 32 children in that operation, but the cost had been too high. Her younger sister, Amanda, had worked as an informant for the team. During the operation, when things spiraled out of control, Jennifer had to make an impossible choice: save the children or save her sister. She chose the children. Amanda disappeared that day and was never found. Her son, Jason, just 5 years old at the time, was left orphaned and taken to a shelter. Jennifer tried to adopt him, but the authorities decided it would be better for him to grow up away from the family, given his mother's involvement in dangerous activities. That had been the final straw. Jennifer requested a discharge from service, changed her identity, and decided to start a new life, far from it all. She met Michael at a cafe in New York City, where he was studying for the federal tax exam. They married 2 years later, and Emma was born a year after the wedding. For 15 years, she kept the past buried. She worked at the mall, attended parent-teacher meetings at her daughter's school, cooked Sunday meals for Michael's family. It was an ordinary life, exactly what she'd always wanted. "Mum, Dad said he'll be home late today," Emma mentioned as they climbed the stairs to their apartment. "Important meeting at the office." "All right, sweetheart. I'll make that pasta you both love." But once they got home, Jennifer couldn't focus on anything. Brian's card burned in her shirt pocket. She knew he wasn't bluffing. If she refused to work with him, he'd tell Michael and Emma everything. How could she explain to her husband that even her name wasn't real? How could she look her daughter in the eye and admit she'd lied about who she was all these years? As she prepared dinner, her hands trembled while chopping tomatoes. Emma, doing homework at the kitchen table, glanced up from her notebook. "Mom, are you sure you're okay? You've been acting weird since we left the mall. Just worried about some bills, honey. Nothing serious." But Emma knew her mother too well. Over the years, she'd noticed small, odd things in Jennifer's behavior. The way she always double-checked the locks before bed, how she startled when someone approached from behind, reflexes too sharp for a simple perfume saleswoman. Once, when Emma was 12, a man tried to mug them on the street. In seconds, Jennifer had pinned him down in a way Emma had never seen before. Later, when she asked how her mother knew how to do that, Jennifer said she'd taken a self-defense class. "Emma, do you remember that time we got mugged and I stopped the guy?" The question caught Emma off guard. "Yeah, I remember. Why are you asking?" "Just curious. Did you ever think it was strange?" Emma stopped writing and looked straight at her mother. "Mom, can I ask you something honestly?" "Of course, sweetheart." "You've always had these weird reflexes, and sometimes you mention places you've been, but never really say when. Are you hiding something from us?" Jennifer's heart skipped a beat. Her daughter was more observant than she'd realized. "Why do you ask?" "Because I love you, and I notice when you're worried. And today you're more worried than I've ever seen you." Before Jennifer could answer, the apartment door opened, and Michael walked in, looking exhausted. "Hey, love." "Hey, Emma," he greeted, kissing his daughter's forehead and hugging his wife. "Something smells amazing." "I made that pasta you both like," Jennifer replied, pulling away from the hug. Michael gave her a puzzled look. "Did something happen? You seem tense." "Just a tough day at work." During dinner, Jennifer could barely eat. Michael talked about the meeting at the company and the new projects for next year. Emma shared her preparations for high school graduation and her college entrance exam plans. It was the normal conversation of an ordinary family. Exactly the life she had built so carefully, and now Brian threatened to destroy it all. After Emma went to bed, Michael approached Jennifer in the kitchen where she was mechanically washing the dishes. "Jen, talk to me. What's going on?" She stopped washing the plate in her hands and turned to her husband. "Michael, if you found out I'm not exactly who you think I am, what would you do?" "What do you mean?" He laughed, thinking it was a hypothetical question. "You've been my wife for 15 years. I know exactly who you are. But what if you didn't? What if you discovered I've hidden important things about my past?" His expression turned serious. "Jennifer, you're scaring me." "What kind of things?" She almost told him everything right then, almost collapsed into her husband's arms and confessed every lie, every half-truth she'd told over the years. But Brian's card in her pocket reminded her of what was at stake. Forget it, just silly thoughts, but Michael wasn't foolish. 15 years of marriage had taught him to read his wife's expressions. "Jen, if something's bothering you, we can figure it out together. We always figure things out together." "I know, love. It's just, sometimes I think about how life could have been different if we'd made other choices." That night, Jennifer couldn't sleep. She lay staring at the ceiling, listening to Michael's steady breathing beside her. On the nightstand, her phone buzzed with a message. It was from Brian. "I expect your answer by tomorrow at 6 p.m. Don't disappoint me." She got up carefully so as not to wake her husband and went to the living room. Through the window, she could see New York City glowing in the early morning. How many people out there had secrets that could destroy their families? Jennifer picked up a photo from the shelf. Her, Michael and Emma, smiling during their trip to Lake Tahoe the year before. They looked so happy, so complete. How could she risk losing all that? But how could she agree to go back to that life? The next morning, Sunday, Michael suggested they have lunch at his mother's house, Mrs. Wilson. It was a family tradition they'd kept for years. "I'm not feeling well today," Jennifer tried to beg off. "I think I'll stay home and rest." "Mom, you never get sick," Emma pointed out, "and Grandma will be upset if you don't come." "She's right," Michael agreed. "My mom always complains when you don't go." Mrs. Wilson had never liked Jennifer much. She'd always thought her son had married too quickly to a woman they knew little about. Jennifer had appeared in Michael's life with no family, no old friends, no clear past. Over the years, her mother-in-law had asked subtle questions about Jennifer's family, her childhood, the places she'd lived. Jennifer always answered vaguely, claiming she didn't like talking about the past. "Fine, we'll go," she gave in. Maybe being surrounded by family would distract her from her problems. Mrs. Wilson's house was in Greenwich Village, an old building she refused to sell even after her husband's passing. The table was set with the family china, and the smell of stew filled the house. "So glad you came," Mrs. Wilson greeted them, hugging her son and granddaughter warmly. For Jennifer, just a polite nod. "Jennifer, you look awful. Sick." "Just a little tired, Mrs. Wilson." "Working at a mall shouldn't leave anyone that exhausted," her mother-in-law remarked as she served the stew. "I don't understand why you won't accept Michael's offer to work for the family business." Michael had offered several times for Jennifer to work in the family's accounting office, but she always refused. She preferred to maintain her independence, not to mention avoiding further contact with company documents that might reveal inconsistencies in her personal records. "I enjoy what I do, Mrs. Wilson," Jennifer replied, as always. "It's strange," her mother-in-law continued. "A smart woman like you selling perfume. It seems like a waste of talent." Emma, sensing the tension that always arose when her grandmother started these comments, tried to change the subject. "Grandma, tell that story about when Dad was little and ran away from home trying to get to the beach." Mrs. Wilson brightened up and began telling stories of Michael's childhood. Jennifer took the chance to distract herself, but her mind kept circling back to the problem with Brian. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. After lunch, while Michael and Emma tidied the kitchen, Mrs. Wilson pulled Jennifer into the living room. "Can I talk to you for a moment?" "Of course." "I know you don't particularly like me, and I understand why. I've always asked questions about your life, about your family." Jennifer braced herself for another disguised interrogation. "It's not that I don't like you." "Let me finish," Mrs. Wilson interrupted. "All these years I've been suspicious of you. I thought you were hiding something from my son." Jennifer's heart raced. "But you know what I realized," her mother-in-law continued. "It doesn't matter what you did before meeting Michael. What matters is that you make him happy. And you make Emma happy too." "Mrs. Wilson, you're a good mother, a good wife. If you have secrets in your past, you must have your reasons. I just want you to know that despite our differences, I recognize what you've done for my family." It was the first time in 15 years her mother-in-law had spoken to her like this. And right when Jennifer needed support the most, even if Mrs. Wilson didn't know it. "Thank you," was all she could say. On the way home, Emma remarked, "Grandma was acting weird today. She never says nice things about you behind your back, Mom." "Emma," Michael scolded her, "but it's true, Dad. Grandma always thinks Mom is too reserved. Today she said Mom is a good person." Jennifer smiled sadly. Just as she was finally being accepted by Michael's family, her past was coming back to destroy everything. Back at the apartment, Jennifer decided she needed to make a choice. Brian had given her an ultimatum: take the job or have her identity exposed. She went to the bedroom and opened the closet. In the back, behind her clothes, was a small suitcase Michael and Emma had never seen. Inside were the only things she had kept from her former life: documents with her real name, Captain Jennifer Reynolds, meritorious service medals, photos of her old team, and a picture of Amanda holding little Jason in her arms. She held the photo of her sister with trembling hands. Amanda was only 23 when she disappeared. Jason would now be a 20-year-old man. Sometimes she wondered if he was looking for her, if he knew he had an aunt who had failed to save him and his mother. "Mom?" Emma's voice startled her. "What are you doing?" Jennifer quickly closed the suitcase, but not before her daughter caught a glimpse of its contents. "Are those medals?" Emma asked, curious. "They're just old memories." "Can I see?" "Emma, they're personal things." But her daughter had already stepped closer and spotted the photo of Amanda with Jason. "Who are these people? The woman looks like you." Jennifer hesitated. This could be her chance to start telling the truth little by little. "It's your Aunt Amanda, my younger sister." "I have an aunt." Emma widened her eyes. "Why did you never talk about her?" "Because she is no longer with us." "Did she pass away?" "She disappeared many years ago, and this boy in the photo is your cousin Jason." Emma held the photo carefully, studying the faces. "Mom, why did you never tell us about this? Does Dad know?" "No, and I don't want you to tell him yet. It's very painful for me to talk about it. But why did you hide it? Every family has problems. Dad would understand." Jennifer sat on the edge of the bed, feeling the weight of years of lies. "Sometimes things are more complicated than they seem, sweetheart. Mom, you can trust me. I'm practically an adult. I can help carry the family's burdens." At that moment, Jennifer realized how much Emma had grown. She was no longer the little girl who needed protection from everything. She was a smart, mature young woman. But before she could say anything else, Jennifer's phone rang. It was Brian. "Hello? I hope you've thought carefully about our conversation yesterday. I can't talk right now." "Of course you can. It's 5 in the afternoon. You have 1 hour to decide." Jennifer looked at Emma, who was watching the conversation with growing curiosity. "I have to go. 1 hour, Jennifer, or Captain Reynolds if you prefer." He hung up, leaving Jennifer with the feeling that the walls were closing in around her. "Who was that?" Emma asked. "No one important." But Emma had noticed the tone of the man's voice on the other end of the line, and she had heard the name Captain Reynolds. "Mom, something's really wrong, and there's no point hiding it from me. I can tell when you're scared." Jennifer looked at her daughter and saw in her the same determination she'd had at that age. There was no use lying anymore. "Emma, if I tell you something, do you promise not to tell your dad until I'm ready?" "I promise. Before I met your father, I had a very different job. I wasn't a perfume saleswoman." "What job?" "I worked in rescue operations. I saved people in dangerous situations." Emma processed the information for a few seconds. "Like a cop?" "Not exactly. It was more specific than that." "What happened? Why did you stop?" "Because during one of those operations, I lost your Aunt Amanda. And because of that, your cousin Jason was left orphaned and sent to a shelter." "Mom, I had to choose between saving 32 children or saving my sister. I chose the children." The silence that followed was heavy. Emma tried to absorb the magnitude of what her mother had revealed. "You saved 32 children?" "I did. But I lost my sister in the process." "And now? What does that man on the phone have to do with it?" "He's someone from my past. He wants me to work with him again." "And are you going to?" "I don't know. If I don't agree, he'll tell your dad who I really am." Emma got up from the bed and began pacing the room, processing everything. "Mom, do you really think Dad won't understand?" "Emma, I've lied about who I am for 15 years. Even my name isn't real." "What do you mean?" "My real name is Jennifer Reynolds, not Thompson." "Did you take on someone else's identity?" "No. I changed my last name legally when I decided to start a new life." Emma stopped pacing and looked her mother straight in the eye. "Mum, you're talking about a life where you saved dozens of people. That's not a bad thing, that's heroic. I don't feel like a hero, Emma. I feel like someone who failed to protect her own family. But you protected other families, other children, and then you protected us, giving us a normal life." Her daughter's maturity surprised Jennifer. She had expected shock, anger, disappointment. Instead, she found understanding. "You won't tell your dad, will you?" "I won't. But I think you should." "Emma." "Mum, Dad loves you." He'll understand, and if he doesn't at first, he'll come around. Before Jennifer could respond, they heard the apartment door open. Michael had come home from work. "Hey everyone, where are you?" "We're in the bedroom," Emma answered, giving her mother an encouraging wink. Michael appeared in the doorway and saw the two sitting on the bed with serious expressions. "Did something happen?" Jennifer looked at Emma, who subtly gestured that she should tell the truth. "Michael, I need to talk to you about something important." "Of course. Emma, can you give us some privacy?" "Actually," Jennifer interrupted, "I think it's better if she stays. It's about our family." Michael stepped closer, concerned. "Jen, you've been scaring me since yesterday. What's going on?" Jennifer took a deep breath and made the decision that would change everything. "Michael, before I met you, I wasn't a perfume saleswoman. I had a very different profession." "What do you mean?" "I worked in rescue operations. I saved kidnapped people, children in danger." Michael blinked several times as if he didn't understand. "Rescue operations like with the police?" "Not exactly. It was more specialized." "Jennifer, what are you talking about?" She stood up and took the medals from the suitcase, showing them to her husband. "My real name is Jennifer Reynolds. I was a captain in the Special Rescue Forces for 8 years. Michael picked up one of the medals with trembling hands. "For exceptional merit in rescue operations," he read aloud. "Jennifer, is this real?" "It's real. But why did you never tell me?" "Because I wanted to leave that life behind. Because in my last operation I lost my younger sister." Michael sat heavily on the bedroom chair. "You have a sister?" "Had. She disappeared during an operation in 2009, and her son, Jason, our nephew, was taken to a shelter." "Our nephew," Michael repeated, as if the words made no sense. "You have a cousin," Emma said softly to her father. "Jason." Michael looked from Jennifer to Emma, trying to process the information. 15 years, he murmured. 15 years of marriage, and you never told me any of this." "I wanted to, but I was afraid of how you'd react." "Afraid of how I'd react?" He stood up abruptly. "Jennifer, you've lied about who you are since the day we met. Michael, please, even your name isn't real. How did you expect me to react?" His voice had changed, and Emma realized the conversation was taking a dangerous turn. "Dad, let Mom explain properly." "Explain what, Emma?" "That your mother is a complete stranger to us." "I'm not a stranger," Jennifer said, trying to stay calm. "I'm the same person you met, who married you, who raised Emma with you." "But you lied about everything." "I didn't lie about my feelings for you. I didn't lie about what we built together." Michael began pacing the room, running his hands through his hair. "How can I trust you now? How can I be sure anything you tell me is true? Because I'm telling you now, I'm being honest with you. 15 years later, Jennifer. 15 years. His shout echoed through the apartment, and Jennifer felt her heart break. This was exactly the reaction she had feared all these years. "Michael, I saved dozens of lives. I dedicated 8 years of my life protecting families, innocent children." "And you lied to your own family for 15 years. Emma stood up from the bed. "Dad, stop. Mom had reasons to hide this." "Emma, you don't understand. Your mother isn't who we thought she was." "She's exactly who we thought she was," Emma countered. "A strong, brave woman who protects her family. The difference is, now we know she protected other families too." Michael looked at his daughter, surprised by the maturity of her response. "Emma, she lied to us. She left out parts of her past to protect us. That's different." Jennifer watched her daughter defend her and felt both proud and guilty at the same time. "Michael," she said softly, "I understand your anger. I understand you feel betrayed, but I need you to understand that every decision I made was to protect our family." "Protect us from what?" At that moment, Jennifer's phone rang again. It was Brian. "Time's up, Captain. I can't talk right now. You'll have to. I'm coming up." "Coming up? Coming up where?" "To your apartment. Apartment 704, Building B, right?" Jennifer's blood ran cold. "You can't come here. I'm already here. And if you don't open the door, I'll have to explain to your neighbors who you really are." Jennifer hung up and looked at Michael and Emma. "He's coming here. Who? Michael asked. The man who called me. He knows my past and wants me to work with him again. And what happens if you refuse? He said he'll tell everyone who I really am. The doorbell rang, followed by knocking. Jennifer, Brian's voice echoed through the hallway. I know you're there. Michael looked at his wife with a mix of anger and protectiveness. You're not answering. Michael, if I don't, he'll make a scene in the building. Let him. I'll call security. It won't help. He has connections everywhere, and he'll expose my identity one way or another. The knocking grew more insistent. Jennifer, don't make me talk to your neighbors. Mrs. Carpenter in 702 seems like a very curious person. Jennifer knew Mrs. Carpenter. She was indeed extremely nosy and gossipy. If Brian told her anything, the whole building would know within hours. I'll answer, she decided. No way, Michael grabbed her arm. I won't let this guy intimidate my family. Michael, you don't understand. He's not bluffing. And neither are we. We're a united family. We'll face this together. Emma stepped closer to her parents. Mum, open the door. Let's hear what he has to say. Jennifer looked at her husband and daughter. Despite all the confusion and anger, they were standing together to protect her. She went to the door and opened it, keeping the chain lock on. What do you want, Brian? I want to come in and talk like civilized adults. Speak from the hallway. Jennifer, don't be stubborn. Your neighbors don't need to hear our business. Michael moved closer to the door. She already said she doesn't want you inside. Brian peered through the crack and saw Michael. Ah, the famous accountant husband. Nice to meet you, Michael. I'm Brian Mitchell, your wife's old colleague. Former colleague, Jennifer corrected. Right, former colleague. From the time she rescued kidnapped children at the country's border. Michael looked at Jennifer. Even though he now knew about her past, hearing those details from a stranger was different. What do you want? Michael asked bluntly. I want your wife to help me with a job. Nothing major. 2 days, tops. She already said she doesn't do that kind of work anymore. Ah, but this one's special. It's about her sister. Jennifer felt the world spin around her. What? Amanda, your dear sister. I found out where she is. That's impossible. She disappeared 15 years ago. Disappeared, but not the way you think. She's alive, Jennifer. The silence that followed was deafening. Michael and Emma stared at Jennifer, who had gone completely pale. You're lying, she finally said. I'm not, and I can prove it, but only if you agree to help me. What kind of proof? Brian pulled an envelope from his pocket and slid it through the door crack. A photo taken 3 months ago. Jennifer opened the envelope with trembling hands. Inside was a photo of a woman around 40 years old, with features that definitely resembled hers. It could be anyone, she said, but her voice trembled. Look at her right wrist. Jennifer looked more closely. On the woman's wrist was a crescent-shaped scar, the same scar Amanda had had since childhood when she fell off her bike at 7. Where did you get this? That doesn't matter now. What matters is I can take you to your sister, but I need your help in return. Michael took the photo from Jennifer's hands and examined it. This could easily be faked. It could, but it's not. And if you give me 5 minutes of your time, I can show you more proof. Jennifer looked at Michael and Emma. The possibility that Amanda was alive changed everything. 5 minutes, she said, opening the door. Brian stepped into the apartment and glanced around, assessing the space. Comfortable life you've built here. Just say what you came to say, Michael said sharply. Your wife is a very special person, Michael. In the years we worked together, she saved over 200 people. 200? Emma asked, impressed. Rescue operations, kidnappings, human trafficking. Your mother was the best I ever knew. Was, Jennifer emphasized. That's in the past. But the past doesn't always stay in the past, does it? Brian smiled. Especially when your sister needs help. He pulled another envelope from his pocket, larger than the first. Amanda didn't disappear in that operation, Jennifer. She was taken by a group that found out she was an informant. They kept her alive because she had valuable information. For 15 years? For 15 years. And now she's in a very delicate situation. She needs to be rescued, but it's an operation that requires someone with your skills. Jennifer took the second envelope and opened it. Inside were several photos, documents, and what looked like a birth certificate. What is this? Amanda had another child during those years, a girl. Her name is Lily and she's 12. Jennifer's world collapsed all over again. Not only was Amanda alive, but she had a niece she'd never met. How do you know all this? Because the group that held her captive all these years finally decided to get rid of her, and the girl too. And where do you fit into this story? I was hired to get them out, but it's a complex operation. I need someone I can trust completely. Michael was reading the documents over Jennifer's shoulder. This could all be fake. It could, Brian agreed. But what if it's not? What if your sister-in-law and niece really need help? Jennifer sat on the couch, trying to process everything. Where are they? Rural Montana, isolated farm. The man keeping them captive is getting paranoid, thinks they know too much. And how did you find all this out? Amanda managed to send a message through someone who escaped. That person came to me because they knew about our past work. Emma moved closer to her mother. Mom, what if it's true? Emma, this could be a trap to force me to work with him. Or it could be a chance to save your family, Brian added. Michael stepped between Brian and his family. Get out of my house now. Michael, I understand your protectiveness, but think about it. If your sister-in-law and niece are really in danger, do you want to be responsible for not letting them be saved? I won't let you manipulate my family. I'm not manipulating anyone. I'm offering a chance to reunite a family that was torn apart 15 years ago. Jennifer stood up from the couch. Brian, assuming this is true, what kind of operation would it be? Simple. Infiltration and extraction. 2 days, tops. And what would my specific role be? You know Amanda. You know how she thinks, how she reacts. If we try to take her out without someone she trusts, she might panic and disrupt the operation. And the girl? The girl only trusts her mother. If Amanda doesn't cooperate, we won't be able to get Lily out of there. Michael watched the conversation with growing concern. Jennifer, don't believe him. This is obviously manipulation. Michael, what if it's not? What if my sister is really alive and needs help? What if it's a trap? What if you go there and never come back? His question hit Jennifer hard. She looked at Emma, who was following everything with wide eyes. Mom, Emma said softly, if there's a chance Aunt Amanda is alive, we have to try to help. Emma, it's too dangerous. You saved 200 people, Mom. You can save 2 more. Brian smiled, sensing he was gaining support. Your daughter is very wise, Jennifer. Don't talk to my daughter, Michael said sharply. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. Jennifer picked up the photo of Amanda again and examined it closely. The scar was there, exactly as she remembered. But 15 years was a long time. It could still be a very well-made fake. Brian, if I agree to do this, what guarantees do I have that I'll come back to my family? You have my word. Your word means nothing to me. Then what do you suggest? Jennifer thought for a moment. First, I want to see all the evidence you have. Documents, photos, messages, everything. Of course. Second, I want to speak to the person who brought Amanda's message. I can arrange that. Third, if I agree to participate, it's only as a consultant. I won't go into the field. Jennifer, your presence on site is essential. Then we don't have a deal. Brian sighed, realizing he wouldn't convince her easily. Fine, consultant. But I need you to come to where they are to confirm if it's really Amanda. Where exactly? A ranch in Bozeman, about a 3-hour drive from Helena. Michael stepped closer to Jennifer. Jen, even if it's true, you can't trust him. I know, Michael, but I need to be sure. What if it's a trap? What if you go there and something happens? That's why I'm only going as a consultant. I'll confirm if it's Amanda and come back. And what if he doesn't let you come back? Brian intervened. Michael, I understand your concern. But if I wanted to harm Jennifer, I wouldn't need to make up this whole story. There are simpler ways. I don't trust you. You don't have to trust me. You have to trust your wife. Jennifer looked at her husband and saw the fear in his eyes. Fear of losing her, fear of the unknown, fear of a life he didn't understand. Michael, what if it were your sister? Jennifer, if your sister were in danger and someone showed up saying they could save her, what would you do? Michael didn't answer right away. He had 2 brothers and knew he'd do anything to save them. But I'd go with you. That's impossible, Brian said. This is an operation that requires trained personnel. Then she's not going. Michael, Jennifer took her husband's hands. I have to do this. If there's a chance Amanda is alive, I have to try. What if it's a lie? What if you go there and find out you've been tricked? Then at least I'll know for sure. Emma stepped closer to her parents. Can I give my opinion? They both looked at her. Mum, you've spent 15 years blaming yourself for not being able to save Aunt Amanda. If there's a chance to save her now and you don't try, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Emma, it's too risky. But you've risked your life to save people you didn't even know. Why wouldn't you risk it to save your own sister? Her daughter's logic was irrefutable. Jennifer had indeed risked her life many times to save strangers. How could she deny help to her own sister? Brian, I want to see all the evidence today. Perfect. I have everything at my hotel. No, you bring it here. I'm not leaving the house with you. Jennifer, there are a lot of documents. It would be easier. Here or nothing. Fine. I'll be back in 2 hours with everything. Brian headed for the door but stopped before leaving. Jennifer, I know you don't trust me, and I understand why, but this might be the only chance for your sister and niece. Don't let suspicion stop you from saving them. After he left, silence filled the apartment. Michael sat on the couch and buried his head in his hands. Jennifer, I don't know how to handle this. She sat beside him. Michael, I know it's a lot all at once. It's not just a lot. I found out I don't know the woman I married. You do know me. You know who I've become. You know the mother I am, the wife I am. But I didn't know the person you were. Because I didn't want you to. I wanted to protect you and Emma from that world. Michael lifted his head and looked at her. Jen, for 15 years, you carried the guilt of losing your sister alone. Why didn't you share that with me? Because I was afraid of how you'd react. And how am I reacting now? Jennifer hesitated. With anger. With fear. But I'm still here. I didn't walk out. I didn't ask for a divorce. I'm trying to understand. Michael. Jen, I love you. I love the woman you are today. And if becoming that woman meant going through everything you did, then I accept it. Emma, who had been quietly watching her parents, smiled. See, Mom, I told you Dad would understand. Michael looked at his daughter. Emma, how are you handling all this? Dad, I always knew Mom was special. I just didn't know how much. You're not mad she hid this from us? I'm upset she carried so much pain alone. But I get why she kept it secret. Jennifer felt her eyes well up. She'd spent 15 years fearing her family's reaction, and now they were coming together to support her. You don't know how hard it is to carry secrets like this, she said. Now we do, Michael replied. And you'll never have to carry them alone again. 2 hours later, Brian returned with a folder full of documents. Michael insisted on reviewing everything with Jennifer. There were photos of Amanda from different angles, all showing the distinctive scar, documents that looked official about the farm's location, a birth certificate for Lily, daughter of Amanda Reynolds Taylor. How did you get the birth certificate? Michael asked. The person who escaped the farm brought some documents with them. And where is that person now? In a safe place. I can arrange a phone call. I want to talk to her, Jennifer said. Brian took out his phone and dialed a number. Hello, Karen. It's Brian. I have Amanda's sister here. She wants to talk to you. He handed the phone to Jennifer. Hello? You're Amanda's sister? A nervous woman's voice answered. Yes. How do you know her? We shared a room at the farm. She talked about you a lot. What did she say? That she had an older sister who worked saving people. That you blamed her for what happened in the last operation. Jennifer swallowed hard. Amanda really knew details only she would know. How is she? Very thin, worried about Lily, afraid of what might happen to her. And Lily? She's a beautiful girl, very smart but scared. But only trusts her mum. Karen, why were you being kept at that farm? The man who held us there said we knew things that could hurt important people. What kind of things? Names, places, operations, things from the past. Jennifer glanced at Brian, who signaled for her not to ask too much. Karen, are you sure Amanda and Lily are still there? They were when I escaped 3 weeks ago. And why were you able to escape and not them? I knew the area. I grew up nearby. Amanda doesn't know anything about the region, and with the little girl it would have been impossible. Jennifer spoke for a few more minutes with Karen, confirming details only someone who truly knew Amanda would be aware of. When she hung up, she looked at Michael and Emma. It's her, it's really Amanda. Michael let out a deep sigh. Now what? Now I'm going to help get my sister out of there. Jennifer, are you sure? I am. She's my sister, Michael, and my niece. Brian smiled, satisfied. Great. We can leave early tomorrow. No, Jennifer interrupted him. I need time to prepare and to explain the situation better to my family. Jennifer, every day we spend here is another day of risk for Amanda and Lily. One day won't make a difference. It could? Michael stood up. She said she needs a day. Respect that. Brian realized arguing was pointless. Fine, but we leave the day after tomorrow, first thing in the morning. Deal. After Brian left, the family was alone again. Jennifer felt exhausted, as if she'd run a marathon. Mom, are you scared? Emma asked. I'm very scared, sweetheart. Of what exactly? Of not being able to save them, of it being a trap, of not coming back to you. Michael stepped closer and hugged his wife. You'll come back to us, and you'll bring your sister and niece with you. How can you be so sure? Because you're the strongest woman I know, and now I know where that strength comes from. That night, Jennifer struggled to sleep. She kept imagining what it would be like to see Amanda again after 15 years. Would her sister ever forgive her for not saving her during that operation? The next morning, she decided she needed to prepare herself physically and mentally for what lay ahead. It had been years since she'd done the conditioning exercises she'd learned during training. Mom, where are you going? Emma asked, seeing her leave the house in workout clothes. For a run. I need to get ready. Can I come? Of course. While jogging in Central Park, Emma asked several questions about her mother's past. What was it like working to save people? It was intense, very stressful, but also rewarding. Did you like it? I liked helping people, but I didn't like the constant danger. And now, are you scared to go back to that world? Very scared, but even more scared of not trying to save your aunt. When they got back home, Michael was in the kitchen making breakfast. How was the run? Good, it helped clear my mind. Jen, I need to talk to you about something. Go ahead. If you go on this operation, I want to come with you. Michael, we've talked about this. It's impossible. I'm not saying I'll join the operation. I'm saying I'll stay in the nearest city waiting for you to come back. Jennifer considered the offer. It'd be too risky for you. Riskier than letting you go alone with this Brian guy. He's right, Mom, Emma agreed. It'd be better if he were nearby. And what about you, Emma? Who would you stay with? Grandma Wilson. She'd love to have me over for a few days. Jennifer realized her family was organizing themselves to support her the best they could. All right, Michael can come to Helena, but you stay in the city. Deal. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The next day, they boarded the flight to Helena. Brian had arranged the tickets and booked rooms at a hotel downtown. During the flight, Jennifer stayed quiet, mentally preparing for what was ahead. Michael held her hand, offering silent support. Jen, no matter what happens there, remember, I love you and I'm here for you. I know, honey, and that gives me strength. In Helena, Brian met them at the airport with a rented car. The ranch is about 2.5 hours from here. he explained. "We'll scout the area today and plan the operation for tomorrow morning." "I'm coming along for the scouting," Jennifer said. "Jennifer, we agreed you'd only be a consultant." "To be a consultant, I need to see the place." Brian hesitated, but finally agreed. Michael said goodbye to his wife at the hotel. "Come back to me in one piece, okay?" "I will. With your sister-in-law and niece." The drive to the ranch area was tense. Jennifer studied the landscape, recalling navigation techniques and landmarks she'd learned during training. "Brian, what's the exact plan?" "Simple. We go in during the early hours when security is lighter. We locate Amanda and Lily, then leave the same way." "How many men guarding the ranch?" "By our estimates, no more than 4 or 5. "Armed?" "Probably." "And how do we neutralize them without violence?" Brian glanced at her in the rearview mirror. "Jennifer, we might need to use some force." "No, no violence. If we can't do this without hurting anyone, we don't do it." "Jennifer, be realistic. We're dealing with criminals." "I am being realistic. If we use violence, there could be retaliation against Amanda and Lily later." "What if they use violence against us?" "Then we defend ourselves, but we don't strike first." Brian sighed but agreed. When they neared the ranch, Jennifer felt all her old instincts kick in. She automatically began analyzing escape routes, observation points, security vulnerabilities. "The main house is over there," Brian pointed through the binoculars. "Amanda and Lily are likely in the back annex." "How do you know?" "Information from Karen." Jennifer took the binoculars and studied the area. It was a typical rural ranch with a main house, outbuildings, corrals, and a planting area. "How many people live there?" "The owner, his 2 adult sons, and a few workers." "And which one is responsible for holding Amanda and Lily captive?" "The owner, Richard Coleman." Jennifer watched the ranch's activity for about an hour. She saw men working in the corrals, women tending a garden, children playing in the yard. "Brian, this looks like a normal ranch, a normal family." "That's exactly the idea. No one suspects they're holding people captive." "Where exactly are Amanda and Lily kept?" "There's a basement in the back house. That's where they're held." Jennifer kept observing, looking for signs that people were truly being held against their will. "I don't see anything that suggests captivity." "You wouldn't. They're careful." Something about Brian's answer unsettled Jennifer, but she couldn't pinpoint what. "Brian, how exactly did you learn about this whole situation?" "I told you. Karen came to me after she escaped." "But how did she know you existed? How did she know about our past work?" Brian hesitated before answering. "Amanda told her about our team." "Amanda knew who you were?" "She knew my name, knew I worked with you." Jennifer remembered well the people who knew Brian's name. There weren't many, and Amanda wasn't one of them. "Brian, Amanda never knew who you were. She only knew the names of the main team members." "Jennifer, are you doubting me?" "I'm asking questions I should have asked from the start." Brian set the binoculars down and looked directly at her. "Jennifer, if you don't trust me, why did you come all this way?" "Because the chance my sister is alive outweighs my doubts about you." "Then let's do the rescue, and afterward you can question my methods." Jennifer turned back to observing the ranch, but now with a growing feeling that something was wrong. "Brian, I want more proof that Amanda is really here." "What kind of proof?" "I want to see her." "That's impossible. If we get any closer, we'll be discovered." "Then how can you be sure she's still here?" "I have a contact on the inside." "Who?" "I can't reveal that. It would be dangerous for that person." Jennifer was growing increasingly uncomfortable with Brian's vague answers. "I think we should go back to the hotel. I need to think this through." "Jennifer, we don't have time to waste. Every hour we spend here is one less hour to plan the operation." "Brian, if my sister has really been in danger for 15 years, one more day won't make a difference." "It could. The intel I have suggests Mendoza is getting nervous. He might decide to get rid of the evidence at any moment." "What evidence?" "Amanda and Lily." The cold way Brian referred to her sister and niece as evidence sent a chill down Jennifer's spine. "Let's go back to the hotel, now." On the way back, Jennifer stayed silent, replaying every detail of the conversation in her mind. Something was definitely off. When they reached the hotel, Michael was waiting in the lobby. "How did it go?" "Complicated," Jennifer replied. "I need to talk to you." In the room, away from Brian, Jennifer shared her suspicions with Michael. "Jen, I've thought this guy was lying from the start, but the evidence seemed convincing. Evidence that could be faked. Michael, what if I'm wrong? What if Amanda really is there, and I don't try to save her? What if you're right? What if it's a trap?" Jennifer sat on the bed, conflicted. "I don't know what to think anymore." "Jen, trust your instincts. What are they telling you?" "That something's very wrong, but also that I can't ignore the possibility Amanda might still be alive." Michael sat beside her. "Then let's find out the truth." "How?" "We'll investigate on our own, without Brian." "Michael, it could be dangerous. More dangerous than blindly trusting him." Jennifer considered the idea. Michael was right. They needed to uncover the truth independently. "Fine, but you stay at the hotel. I'll go alone." "No way. We're doing this together." "Michael, you're not trained for this." "I don't need training to drive a car and keep an eye on you." That night, they left the hotel without telling Brian. Jennifer had noted the farm's location and managed to find it again. "Jen, what exactly are we looking for?" "Signs that people are really being held captive." They positioned themselves at a safe distance and observed for hours. Jennifer used surveillance techniques she'd learned during training. "Michael, do you see anything unusual?" "No, it looks like an ordinary farm." "Exactly. If there were captives, there'd be more security, more surveillance." "So now what?" Jennifer made a risky decision. "I'm getting closer to the house." "Jennifer, no." "Michael, I need to be sure. Stay here with the car running. If I'm not back in an hour, leave and call for help." "I'm not leaving you alone." "Yes, you are. If something happens to me, Emma will need her father." Michael wanted to argue but knew she was right. 1 hour, not a minute more. Jennifer approached the farm using camouflage and stealth. She reached the back house Brian had claimed was where Amanda and Lily were being held. The house was dark and silent. Jennifer found a slightly open window and peered inside. What she saw shocked her. The house was completely empty. No furniture, no signs of life. She slipped inside and checked every room. Nothing. Not even the basement Brian had mentioned existed. When he got back to the car, Michael could tell from her expression that something was very wrong. "What happened?" "The house is empty, Michael, completely empty." "What do you mean?" "There's no one there, there never was." Michael started the car, and they drove back to the hotel in silence. Jennifer was processing the discovery, trying to understand what was really going on. "Jen, why would Brian make up a story like that?" "I don't know, but it's obvious he lied about everything." "What now?" "Now we confront him." When they arrived at the hotel, they found Brian waiting in the lobby. "Where were you? I looked for you in your room and couldn't find you." "We went for a drive," Michael answered curtly. "Jennifer, we need to finalize the details for tomorrow's operation." "There won't be an operation tomorrow," she said. "What do you mean?" "Because my sister isn't at that farm. She never was." Brian tried to keep his expression neutral, but Jennifer caught the flash of panic in his eyes. "Jennifer, you must have gotten confused." "I'm not confused. The house you said they were in has been empty for years. They might have moved them." "Brian, stop lying. There's no basement in that house. There were never any people held captive there." Brian glanced around the lobby, as if searching for an exit. "Jennifer, you don't understand the whole situation." "Then explain it to me." "I can't. Not here." "Yes, you can. Right now." Michael positioned himself to block any attempt by Brian to escape. "Brian, my wife asked you a question. Answer it." Brian let out a deep sigh. "Fine. You want the truth? Amanda really is alive, but not where I said." "Where is she?" "In New York City, right where she's always been." Jennifer felt the world spin around her. "What do you mean?" "Your sister never disappeared during that operation, Jennifer. She ran away." "That's impossible." She found out our team was under investigation, that some of our operations were questionable. She decided to disappear before she got arrested. Michael held Jennifer's arm as she turned pale. Are you saying she faked her own kidnapping? She didn't fake it. She was kidnapped, but she managed to escape and decided not to come back. Why? Because she was afraid of being arrested as an accomplice to illegal operations. What illegal operations? Brian hesitated. Jennifer, not all of our operations were official. Some were private. Mercenary work? You could say that. Jennifer sank into one of the lobby chairs, trying to process the information. Brian, why did you make up this whole story? Because I need your help with a real operation, and I knew you'd only agree if it was to save your family. What operation? A real rescue. A child kidnapped in Washington, D.C. The family hired me, but I need someone with your skills. Michael exploded. You son of a gun! You lied about her sister to manipulate her. Michael, the child in Washington, D.C., really needs help. So what? That doesn't give you the right to lie. Jennifer raised her hand for silence. Brian, where exactly is my sister? In an apartment in Astoria. She works as a nurse at a private hospital. And why didn't she ever reach out to me? Because she thinks you blame her for what happened during the operation. What about her son, Jason? He grew up with her. He's a 20-year-old now, studying medicine. Jennifer felt a mix of relief, anger, and sadness. 15 years blaming herself for losing her sister when she'd been alive in New York City the whole time. Do you have her address? I do. Give it to me. Brian hesitated. Jennifer, first I need you to help me with the operation in Washington, D.C. Michael stood abruptly. Now you're trying to blackmail her again. It's not blackmail. It's a deal. Yes, it is blackmail, Jennifer said, and I won't accept it. Jennifer, an 8-year-old child was kidnapped a week ago. The family is desperate. Then call the police. The police haven't gotten results. That's why they hired me. Jennifer looked at Brian and realized that, despite all the lies and manipulation, this time he was telling the truth about the child. What information do you have about the abduction? The boy's name is Ethan. He was taken outside his school in Washington, D.C. The kidnappers demanded a ransom, but even after payment, they didn't return him. And you know where he is? I have a lead, but I need someone experienced to confirm it and plan the rescue. Michael watched the conversation with growing concern. Jen, don't trust him again. Michael, if there's really a child in danger... He's lied before. He could be lying again. I can prove it, Brian said. I've been in contact with the family. You can speak to the parents yourself. Jennifer looked at her husband. Even after all the deception, her conscience wouldn't let her ignore a child in peril. Brian, show me the evidence, all of it. Brian took out his phone and showed her photos of the boy, messages with the parents, and proof of the abduction. The police really haven't made any progress? They've been searching for a week. Nothing. Jennifer studied the evidence. It seemed genuine. Michael, what do you think? I think he's a liar who doesn't deserve trust. But what if this time it's true? Jen, you're not responsible for saving every child in the United States. But I am responsible for helping when I can. Michael sighed, recognizing his wife's determination. If you decide to help, I'm coming with you. Michael, it's not negotiable. Either we go together or we don't go at all. Brian cut in. This isn't an operation for amateurs. Then find a way to include me, Michael said, or she's not going. Jennifer looked at her husband and saw the resolve in his eyes. She knew he wouldn't back down this time. Fine, the three of us will go to Washington, D.C. But first, Brian, you give me my sister's address. After the operation. Now or there's no deal. Brian realized he had no choice. 847 Broadway Avenue, apartment 52. Jennifer wrote it down and turned to Michael. Before we go to Washington, D.C., we're stopping in New York City. I need to see my sister. I agree, Michael said. And Brian, if you lie to us again about anything, I'll turn you in to the police myself. The next day, they boarded a flight back to New York City. During the trip, Jennifer was anxious and nervous. What would it be like to see Amanda after 15 years? What would she say? How could she explain everything? "Jen, are you scared?" Michael asked. "Terrified. What if she doesn't want to see me? What if she's still angry?" "She's your sister. She'll want to see you." "Michael, you don't understand. During the operation where she disappeared, I had to make a choice. I chose to save the other children instead of her. And you made the right choice. I made the professional choice. I don't know if it was the right one as a sister." Michael took her hand. "Jen, you saved 32 children. That matters. And from what Brian said, Amanda managed to save herself. But she had to live on the run for 15 years. And you've carried the guilt for 15 years. You've both suffered." When they landed in New York City, they went straight to Astoria. Jennifer's heart pounded as they approached the address. "Do you want me to come up with you?" Michael asked. "No, I need to talk to her alone first." Jennifer climbed to the 5th floor of the modest building and rang the doorbell for apartment 52. "Who is it?" a woman's voice asked through the intercom. "Amanda, it's me, Jennifer." The silence that followed felt endless. "Jennifer?" the voice repeated, disbelieving. "It's me, sis." The door opened, and Jennifer saw her sister for the first time in 15 years. Amanda was thinner, with wrinkles she didn't have before, but it was unmistakably her. "Jennifer, how did you find me?" "It's a long story. Can I come in?" Amanda hesitated for a moment, then opened the door wide. The apartment was small but cozy. There were photos of a young man whom Jennifer recognized as an older Jason. "Where's Jason?" "In college. He's in his 6th semester of med school." "Amanda, why did you never reach out to me?" Her sister sat on the couch, avoiding direct eye contact with Jennifer. "Because I thought you hated me." "Hated you? Why?" "Because during the operation, you chose to save the other children instead of me." "Amanda, I had no choice. It was 32 children against one person." "I know. And I know you did the right thing. But even knowing that, I felt abandoned." Jennifer sat beside her sister. "Amanda, I blamed myself all these years for not being able to save you." "Blamed yourself? Why?" "Because you were my sister. I should have found a way to save everyone." Amanda finally looked at Jennifer. "Jen, you know that's impossible, right?" "I do." But it didn't lessen the guilt. The two sat in silence for a moment. "Amanda, why didn't you come back after you escaped?" "Because I found out our team was under investigation, that some operations were illegal. I was afraid of being arrested." "Did you know about the illegal operations?" "I suspected, didn't you?" Jennifer thought for a moment. There had been signs she'd ignored at the time. "Maybe, but I didn't want to see them. When I managed to escape, I thought about reaching out to you, but I was afraid our conversation might be monitored, that they'd find out where I was. And all these years I wanted to find you. But I didn't know how you'd react, if you were still working for them, if you blamed me for what happened." Jennifer held her sister's hands. "Amanda, I never blamed you, never. The guilt was all mine. And I never blamed you either. You did what you had to do." The two embraced and cried together, releasing 15 years of guilt, pain, and longing. "Amanda, I want you to meet my family. You have a family, a wonderful husband and a 16-year-old daughter. A niece?" Amanda smiled for the first time. "A beautiful, smart niece. And you have a brother-in-law who's dying to meet you. Do they know about me?" "They do now. It was a long conversation, but they know." Amanda wiped her tears. "Jen, how did you find me? After all this time?" Jennifer told the whole story of Brian, the lies, the supposed ranch in Montana. That Brian manipulated you to take you there. "He did. But in the end, he revealed where you were." "And now? What does he want?" "He wants me to help rescue a child in Washington, D.C. And will you?" "I don't know. Part of me wants to help the child. Another part wants nothing more to do with that world. Jen, you've always been a rescuer. It's in your nature to help people in danger. But now I have a family to protect." "And does your family support you?" "They do. My husband even said he'd go with me to Washington, D.C. Amanda smiled. "He must love you very much." "He does. and I love him, and our daughter. I want to meet them. Want to meet them now? Michael is waiting in the car downstairs. Now? Amanda grew nervous. Only if you want. There's no rush. 15 years is rush enough. They went down together, and Jennifer introduced her sister to Michael, who greeted her with genuine warmth. Amanda, it's a pleasure to finally meet you. Jennifer speaks of you with so much love. Michael, thank you for taking care of my sister all these years. She's the one who took care of me. On the way to Jennifer and Michael's apartment, Amanda shared about her 15 years living under a false identity, working as a nurse, raising Jason alone. Does Jason know the truth about our past? He does. I told him when he turned 18. And how did he react? He was proud, said he had a hero for a mother. And a hero for an aunt too, Michael added. When they arrived at the apartment, Emma was waiting. The introduction between aunt and niece was emotional. You look so much like your mother when she was your age, Amanda said. And you look so much like her now, Emma replied. During dinner, Amanda shared stories from her childhood and Jennifer's. Emma listened, fascinated, finally learning about her family history. Mom, why did you never talk about our family with me? Because I thought I had no family left, Jennifer answered. I believed I'd lost everything. But now we have a big family, Emma said. And I want to meet my cousin Jason. You will, Amanda promised. He'll be so happy to know he has an aunt and a cousin. Later that night, after Amanda left, promising to return the next day with Jason, the family discussed the situation in Washington, D.C. Jen, have you decided if you'll help Brian? Not yet. Part of me wants to help the child, but I don't trust Brian anymore. What if you worked independently of him? Emma suggested. How so? You could investigate the case on your own without Brian. Michael considered his daughter's idea. Emma's right. You could contact the child's family directly. What if it's all a lie again? Then the family will say there's no kidnapping. Jennifer thought about it. It would be a way to find the truth without relying on Brian. Exactly, Michael agreed. And if it's true, you decide whether to help or not. But without Brian, I wouldn't have the information about where the child might be. Jen, you worked in this field for 8 years. You must know how to get information. It was true. Jennifer knew investigative methods that didn't depend on Brian. All right. I'll try to uncover the truth about this child. The next day, Jennifer began her own investigation. She searched Washington, D.C. newspapers for reports about the kidnapping. She found a small note in the local paper about the disappearance of 8-year-old Ethan Thompson. Michael, the child really exists, and he really is missing. Does that mean Brian was telling the truth this time? About the child's existence, yes, but we don't know if he was actually hired by the family. Jennifer managed to get the parents' number through old contacts and called them directly. Hello, Mrs. Thompson. My name is Jennifer. I'm a rescue specialist. I heard about your son's case. How did you get our number? The mother asked suspiciously. I have contacts who work on kidnapping cases. I'd like to help. The police are investigating. I know, but sometimes a different approach is needed. Are you with the police? No, I work independently. I've solved many similar cases. There was a pause on the line. Do you know a man named Brian Mitchell? I do. Why? He was here yesterday, said he could help find Ethan. What did you decide? We agreed to accept his help. We're desperate. Mrs. Thompson, may I ask, did you pay the ransom they demanded? We did, $200,000, but they didn't return Ethan. And since then, have you had any contact with the kidnappers? No, everyone disappeared. Jennifer was starting to understand the situation. Mrs. Thompson, did Brian say where he thinks Ethan might be? He said he had a lead. An abandoned house on the outskirts of Washington, D.C. When will the rescue happen? Tonight. Jennifer felt a chill. If Brian was really going to carry out an operation tonight without her, something was very wrong. Mrs. Thompson, could you give me the address where you think Ethan is? Why do you want to know? Because I want to help, and I have experience that could be useful. The mother hesitated. but finally gave the address. "Mrs. Thompson, one more question. Are you sure you trust Brian?" "We're not sure of anything, but he's our only hope." After hanging up, Jennifer told Michael about the conversation. "Jen, if Brian is planning to do the operation tonight, why was he so insistent on you coming along?" "I don't know, but something's very wrong." "What do you want to do?" "I want to go to Washington, D.C., but without Brian knowing." "Jen, it could be dangerous." "Michael, if an 8-year-old child is really in danger, I have to try to help." "Then let's go, but this time we'll take our own team." "Our own team?" "You, me, and someone we trust." Jennifer thought about the suggestion. "Amanda. She has experience, and we can trust her." "Exactly." When Amanda arrived with Jason for lunch, Jennifer explained the situation. "Amanda, I know you left that life behind, but I need your help." "Jen, it's been 15 years since I've done anything like this." "I know, but a child is in danger." Jason, who had listened to the whole conversation, chimed in. "Mom, if a child needs help, you should try." "Jason, it's really dangerous. You two have saved hundreds of people. You can save one more." Amanda looked at her son, then at Jennifer. "If I go, it's only as support. I'm not going in the field." "Agreed," Jennifer said. "You'll coordinate from a distance." Michael felt relieved. With Amanda helping, there was someone experienced to guide the operation. They flew to Washington, D.C. that afternoon without telling Brian. During the flight, Amanda and Jennifer planned their approach. "Jen, first we need to confirm if Ethan is really at the location Brian gave. And if he's not, then we look for other clues. And if he is, then we plan a safe rescue." In Washington, D.C., they rented a car and scouted the address Ethan's mother had provided. It was an abandoned house in a remote neighborhood, exactly as Brian had described. "Amanda, could this be a coincidence?" "Maybe. Or maybe Brian really knew where the child was." "How would he know?" "Good question." They watched the house for several hours. Around 6 in the evening, they saw movement. "Jen, there's someone inside." "I see. At least 2 men. And a child?" "Haven't seen one yet." At 7 in the evening, they saw Brian arriving with 2 other men. "He really was planning to do the operation tonight," Michael observed. "But why was he so insistent on me coming along?" Jennifer wondered. The answer came a few minutes later, when they saw Brian talking to the men inside the house. "Amanda, do you see what I'm seeing?" "I do. He's talking friendly with the supposed kidnappers." "That means he's involved in the kidnapping." Jennifer felt anger rising inside her. "He organized the kidnapping and then offered to do the rescue." "Looks that way. But why did he want me involved?" "Maybe to share the blame, or to make sure the rescue succeeded." Michael was watching everything through binoculars. "Guys, there's a child coming out of the house." Jennifer grabbed the binoculars and saw a boy around 8 years old, matching Ethan's description. "It's him. It's Ethan." "And now?" "Now we save the child for real." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing, Amanda took command of the operation. "Jen, you approach the house from the back. Michael stays with the car running for the getaway. I'll coordinate everything from here." "What about Brian?" "Leave Brian to me. I'll call him and create a distraction." Jennifer approached the house using all the techniques she'd learned during training. She managed to reach a back window without being seen. Inside the house, she could see Ethan sitting in a chair, hands tied but seemingly unharmed. There were 3 men in the main room, including Brian. They were discussing something in hushed tones. Brian's phone rang. It was Amanda. "Brian?" "It's Amanda, Jennifer's sister." "Amanda, how did you get my number?" "Jennifer gave it to me. I'm calling because she changed her mind. She wants to be part of the operation." "Where is she?" "At the hotel. She said she'll meet you at the house in half an hour." "All right, I'll wait." Brian hung up and said something to the other men. One of them left the house, probably to watch for Jennifer's arrival. With one less man inside, it became easier for Jennifer to act. She managed to slip in quietly through the back window and approach the room where Ethan was. "Ethan?" she whispered. The boy looked at her with wide, fearful eyes. "Don't be afraid. I'm a friend of your parents. I came to get you. The bad men will hear. They won't. But I need you to be very brave and do exactly as I say." Ethan nodded. Jennifer cut the ropes binding the boy's hands and picked him up. "We're going out through the back window. Can you be as quiet as a ninja?" "I can." They managed to leave the house undetected. Michael was waiting with the car 2 blocks away. "We did it," Jennifer said over the radio to Amanda. "Great. Now get out of there fast. What about Brian?" "Leave Brian to me." Michael drove quickly away from the area. Ethan was in the back seat, still scared but visibly relieved. "Ethan, are you okay? Did they hurt you?" "No, they just gave me food and told me to be quiet. Your parents have been looking for you. We're taking you to them now." "Really? Really?" When they arrived at the hotel where Ethan's parents were staying, the reunion was emotional. His mother cried as she hugged her son, and his father thanked Jennifer over and over. "How did you manage to find him?" the father asked. "It's a long story," Jennifer replied. "What matters is that he's safe. And Brian, he was right about where Ethan was. Mr. Thompson, Brian was involved in the kidnapping." "What do you mean?" "He organized your son's kidnapping and then offered to help with the rescue." "That's impossible." "We saw him talking casually with the kidnappers." Ethan's father fell silent, processing the information. "But why would he do that?" "Probably for the money. You paid the ransom and we're going to pay for his services too. We'll report him to the police." "You can report him, but I'm not sure you'll get enough evidence." Amanda arrived at the hotel an hour later. "What happened to Brian?" Jennifer asked. "When he realized Ethan wasn't in the house anymore, he panicked. The other men turned on him. And now? Now they'll probably disappear. They don't want to get caught by the police. At least Ethan is safe." "He is. And you did the right thing." The next morning, they flew back to New York City. During the flight, Jennifer reflected on everything that had happened over the past few days. "Michael, do you regret getting involved in all this?" "I regret trusting Brian, but I don't regret helping save Ethan." "What now? Are you quitting this kind of work for good?" "Jen, that's your decision. But if you keep helping people, I want to be by your side." "Michael, it could be dangerous." "I know, but we're family. We face dangers together." Emma, who had stayed with her grandmother, Mrs. Wilson, during the trip, was waiting at the airport with Amanda and Jason. "Mom, how was it?" "Complicated, but we saved the child." "And the liar. We found out he was involved in the kidnapping." "Disgusting," Emma made a face. Jason walked up to Jennifer. "Auntie, thank you for giving me a family." "What do you mean?" "All these years, it was just me and my mum. Now I have an aunt, an uncle, and a cousin. And we gained a wonderful nephew." Mrs. Wilson, who had overheard part of the conversation, approached. "Jennifer, can I talk to you?" "Of course, Mrs. Wilson. I want to apologize for all these years of distrust." "You don't need to apologize." "Oh, but I do. For 15 years I thought you were hiding something bad. Now I find out you were hiding that you were a hero." "Mrs. Wilson, I'm not a hero. I just do what I think is right." "Exactly, and that's what makes a hero." Her mother-in-law hugged Jennifer for the first time in 15 years. "Welcome to the family, Jennifer. Officially." On the way home, the family talked about the future. "Mom, are you going to keep working at the mall?" Emma asked. "Why do you ask?" "Because now I know you have other skills." "Emma, selling perfume is honest, peaceful work." "Yeah, but helping people is more important." Michael glanced at his wife in the rearview mirror. "Jen, Emma's right. Maybe it's time to use your skills to help people officially." "How so?" "You could work with organizations that help at-risk children." "Without the danger of rescue operations?" "Exactly. Using your experience to prevent dangerous situations." Jennifer considered the suggestion. It was a way to use her skills without putting her family at risk. "That's an interesting idea." "And I could help with the administrative side," Michael offered. "And I could help on weekends," Emma added. "You really want to be part of this?" Mom, we're a family. We do things together. 2 weeks later, Jennifer got an unexpected call. Hello? Jennifer, it's Karen. Remember me? Karen? The woman who talked about my sister? That's right. But I need to clarify something. What? I never spoke to you before that first time, and I never knew your sister. What do you mean? Brian paid me to pretend I knew your sister, to convince you to go to Montana. Jennifer wasn't surprised. She'd already suspected Karen was part of Brian's scheme. Karen, why are you telling me this now? Because I heard you saved a child in Washington, D.C., and I felt terrible for being part of the lie. Do you know where Brian is now? No. After what happened in D.C., he disappeared. Karen, thank you for telling me the truth. Jennifer, can I ask you something? Sure. Are you going to keep saving people? I will, but in a different way. How so? Working to prevent children from being in danger instead of having to rescue them afterward. That's wonderful. Jennifer told her family about Karen's call. See, Michael said, you made the right call not to fully trust Brian. And now we'll help people safely, Emma added. A month later, Jennifer had quit her job at the mall and started working with a non-profit that protected at-risk children. Michael had arranged a leave from the family office to help her with the administrative side. Emma had decided she wanted to study psychology to work with traumatized children. Amanda visited the family every weekend, and Jason had become like an older brother to Emma. Mrs. Wilson had become the proudest grandmother in the world, telling all her friends about her heroic daughter-in-law. One Sunday afternoon, as the whole family gathered for lunch, Jennifer looked around the table and felt complete for the first time in 15 years. What are you thinking about? Michael asked. I'm thinking that 15 years ago I thought I'd lost my family. Today I've found an even bigger one. And a closer one, Amanda added. Mom, Emma said, can I ask you something? Of course, sweetheart. If you could go back in time and change one thing, would you? Jennifer thought carefully about her answer. It would change many things. The years of guilt, the years of secrets, the years your aunt and I were apart. But if I changed anything, maybe we wouldn't have gotten here. Maybe I wouldn't have met your father. Maybe you wouldn't have been born. Maybe your aunt wouldn't have become a doctor. So you wouldn't change anything? I'd change how I handled things. I would have been more honest from the start. Michael held her hand. Jen, you were honest when you could be, and that's what matters. 6 months later, the organization where Jennifer worked had managed to prevent 3 kidnapping cases through preventive efforts. Emma had started volunteering with street children on weekends. Jason had decided to specialize in emergency medicine, inspired by his aunt's stories. Amanda had returned to using her skills, working as a security consultant for private schools. Michael had discovered he had a knack for managing social organizations and was considering specializing in the field. Mrs. Wilson had become one of the organization's top donors and always said it was to support the heroic work of my daughter-in-law. One Monday morning, Jennifer received a call that would change everything again. Hello, Jennifer. This is Detective Morgan from Washington, D.C. Hi, Detective. Remember the case of the boy Ethan, the one you helped rescue? Yes, I do. We arrested Brian Mitchell. He was organizing a fake kidnapping ring across 3 states. Fake kidnappings. He arranged the kidnappings, then offered to handle the rescues. He'd done it to at least 12 families. My God. When we interrogated him, he said something interesting about you. What? He said you were the only person he couldn't fully deceive, that your instincts were too sharp. Jennifer smiled. Detective, can I ask how you caught him? The other men working with him turned him in when they were arrested. They said he was getting too ambitious and drawing too much attention. What about the families he tricked? We're contacting all of them. Most will recover at least some of the money they lost. And the children who were kidnapped, all were found and are safe, thanks to the work of people like you. When Jennifer told the family about Brian's arrest, everyone felt relieved. At least he won't trick any more families, Michael said. And the children he kidnapped are all safe, Emma added. Mom, Emma continued, aren't you proud of helping expose him? I'm proud we saved Ethan, the rest was a consequence. But you realized he was lying when no one else did. It wasn't just me. You all suspected him too. Yes, but you had the courage to investigate on your own. Amanda, who was listening, stepped closer to her sister. Jen, can I say something? Of course. All those years we were apart, I was proud to have a sister like you. Today, I'm even prouder. Why? Because you brought our family back together, saved an innocent child, and helped catch a criminal, all while keeping your own family united and safe. I didn't do it alone. You all helped me. But you led the way. You made the hard decisions. Jason, who had been listening, chimed in. Aunt Jen, you could write a book about all this. A book? Jennifer laughed. Seriously, the story of a woman who left a dangerous career to protect her family, but kept saving people when needed. No one would believe a story like that. Of course they would, Emma said. Because it's true. Michael stood up from the table. You know what? Jason is right. You should write about your experiences. Michael, I don't know how to write. You don't have to be the one to write it. You can tell someone who knows how. And what would that accomplish? To inspire others, to show it's possible to leave the past behind without stopping to help people. Jennifer thought about her family's suggestion. Maybe, but only if it's to help others who've been through similar situations. Exactly. They all agreed. 2 years later, Jennifer's book had become a success. Second Chances: How to Rebuild Your Life Without Abandoning Your Values helped hundreds of people who had left dangerous or controversial careers. The organization she worked for had grown and now operated in 5 states, always focusing on prevention rather than reaction. Michael had become the administrative director of the organization and discovered a calling he never knew he had. Emma had started college for psychology and was already interning at her mother's organization. Jason had graduated from medical school and was doing his residency in pediatrics, planning to work with traumatized children. Amanda had opened her own family safety consulting firm and was helping dozens of families protect themselves. Mrs. Wilson had become a kind of ambassador for the organization, attending events and helping raise funds. One Saturday afternoon, the whole family was gathered at Jennifer and Michael's apartment to celebrate the 2-year anniversary of the sisters' reunion. Mom, Emma said, can I ask you something I've always wanted to ask? Of course, sweetheart. Do you miss the old life? The adrenaline, the action? Jennifer looked around the table, seeing all the people she loved together. Sometimes I miss the feeling of saving someone directly, but the work we do now saves many more people in a more lasting way. How so? When I did rescues, I saved one person at a time. Now, through prevention, we stop hundreds of children from being put in danger. And do you feel fulfilled? I feel complete. I have the family I always wanted. I do work I love, and I can still use my experience to help others. Michael raised his glass of juice. A toast to the craziest, bravest family in New York City. To the closest family, Amanda corrected. To the family that proves second chances exist, Jason added. To the family that taught me real heroes are ordinary people who do extraordinary things, Emma finished. To the family that showed me true love accepts the past and builds the future. Mrs. Wilson surprised everyone. Jennifer stood up too. To the family that taught me real strength isn't in keeping secrets, but in sharing them with the people we love. They all toasted and hugged. Mom, Emma whispered in her ear, thank you for giving me the most amazing family in the world. Thank you for giving me a reason to be better every day. That night, after everyone had left, Jennifer and Michael were on the apartment balcony looking at the lit-up city. Jen, are you happy? Happier than I ever imagined I could be, even after going through so much hardship. Michael, everything I went through brought me here. It brought me to you, to Emma, to the family we have today. And if a situation comes up that requires your old skills, I'll use those skills to protect our family and help whoever needs it, but always with you by my side. Always, he promised. Michael, can I tell you something? Of course. For 15 years, I thought my greatest achievement was saving all those people in the operations. And now? Now I know my greatest achievement was building a real family, a family that supports each other, loves each other, and faces problems together. A family that grows bigger every day, Michael smiled, thinking about how Amanda and Jason had fit in so naturally with the group. Exactly. And one that teaches others about the value of honesty, forgiveness, and second chances. They sat in silence for a few minutes, simply enjoying each other's company. Jen, what would you like to see happen in the next few years? I'd love to see Emma graduate and become an amazing psychologist. I'd love to see Jason saving lives as a doctor. And I'd love to see our organization helping more and more children. And personally, I'd like to keep learning how to be a better wife, mother, sister, and mother-in-law every day. You're already all those things perfectly. No one's perfect, Michael, but I can always try to be better. That's why I love you, he said, kissing her forehead. Why? Because you never stop wanting to grow, to help, to make a difference. It's what I learned from you and Emma. That true love inspires us to be our best selves. 3 months later, Jennifer got a call that moved her deeply. Hello, Jennifer. Hi, it's Sarah Thompson, Ethan's mom. Hi, Sarah, how are you all doing? We're good. Ethan's doing great. He's completely recovered from the trauma. Actually, I'm calling to share some news. What news? Ethan has decided that when he grows up, he wants to be just like you. He wants to help save other kids. Jennifer felt her eyes well up. Sarah, he's still so young to make that decision. I know. But ever since you saved him, he talks every day about how he wants to help people when he grows up. And how do you feel about that? Proud and grateful we met you. Sarah, Ethan was saved because our whole family worked together. It wasn't just me. I know, and that's why I'm calling. We'd love to meet your family. Ethan wants to thank each of you in person. We'd be happy to have you in New York City. Actually, we're already here. We came for vacation and were hoping we could see you. Jennifer smiled. Of course. Let's plan a lunch with the whole family. 2 days later, Ethan's family was having lunch with Jennifer's family at Amanda's apartment, which was bigger and could fit everyone. Ethan, now 9 years old, was chatting excitedly with Emma about her college plans. Emma, when you graduate, will you help kids like me? I will, Ethan. I'll help kids who've been through tough times feel better. And when I grow up, can I work with you guys? Of course. We always need brave and determined people. Sarah watched the conversation with a smile. Jennifer, thank you for giving my son real heroes to look up to. Sarah, we're the ones who should thank you. Ethan reminded us why we do what we do. How so? Because every child we protect is a future we preserve. Ethan's father walked over to Michael. Michael, your wife is a very special person. She is, and the best part is she doesn't even realize how much. How do you balance dangerous work with family life? We don't do dangerous work anymore, Michael explained. Now we focus on prevention. It's safer and more effective. And does it work? It does. Last year, our organization prevented 15 abduction cases just through awareness and safety programs. Amanda joined the conversation. The secret is teamwork. No one does anything alone. And how did you organize yourselves to work together? Everyone uses their strengths, Jason explained. Mom handles security, Aunt Jennifer coordinates operations, Uncle Michael manages everything, Emma helps with the kids, and I contribute medical knowledge when needed. And Grandma? Ethan asked, pointing to Mrs. Wilson. Grandma Wilson is our head of public relations, Emma laughed. She convinces everyone to help our cause. Mrs. Wilson smiled proudly. When you have a heroic family, the least you can do is help spread the good news. Ethan stayed quiet for a moment, then walked over to Jennifer. Aunt Jennifer, can I ask you something? Of course, Ethan. Do you ever get scared? I get scared a lot. Scared I won't be able to help someone in need, scared something might happen to my family. And what do you do when you're scared? I remember I'm not alone, that I have an amazing family who supports me. And does that work? It always works. Ethan smiled and hugged Jennifer. Thank you for saving me. And thank you for teaching me that heroes get scared sometimes too. Ethan, you're the one who taught me that being brave isn't about not feeling fear. It's about doing what's right even when you're afraid. That afternoon, after Ethan's family left, everyone gathered to talk about the reunion. "Did you see how well Ethan is doing?" Emma remarked. "I did. And how determined he is to help others when he grows up," Jennifer replied. "That's the result of your work," Sarah had said before leaving. "You didn't just save my son, you saved the future he'll build." "Mom," Emma said, "do you realize the impact your work has? It's not just my work, sweetheart, it's our work. But you're the one leading it all. I lead because you let me lead, because you trust and support me." Michael walked over to his wife. "Jen, you know I'm proud of you, right?" "I do. And you know I'm proud of you too." "Why?" "Because you could have reacted badly when you found out about my past. You could have asked for a divorce, could have been angry. And why would I do that? Because you discovered you married someone different from who you thought. Jen, I married a brave, determined woman who loves her family above all else. That hasn't changed. What changed is that now you know where that courage comes from. And that only makes me love you more." Amanda, who had been listening, approached them. "Can I interrupt?" "Of course," they both replied. "I want to thank you both for welcoming me as family." "Amanda, you are family," Jennifer said. "You always have been." "I know, but you could have been angry at me for disappearing for 15 years. Amanda, you did what you thought was best at the time. We won't judge your choices." "And besides," Michael added, "if you hadn't disappeared, maybe I never would have met Jennifer." "How so?" "If you'd stayed together, maybe she wouldn't have decided to start a new life. Maybe she wouldn't have moved to New York." Jennifer thought about her husband's observation. "It's true. If Amanda hadn't disappeared, I probably would have stayed in my old job." "And we never would have met," Michael finished. "And I wouldn't exist," Emma added. "And I wouldn't have a family," Jason concluded. Amanda smiled with tears in her eyes. "So maybe everything happened exactly the way it was supposed to." "Maybe," Jennifer agreed. "But what matters is we're all together now." "And we'll stay together from here on out," Mrs. Wilson assured. 6 months later, Jennifer's organization received a national award for child protection. The whole family attended the ceremony in Washington, D.C. When Jennifer took the stage to accept the award, she didn't speak about her individual achievements. She spoke about teamwork, family, and second chances. "This award isn't mine," she said into the microphone. "It's my family's who supported me every step of the way. It's my team's who works tirelessly every day, and it's every family who trusted us to protect their children." In the audience, Michael, Emma, Amanda, Jason, and Mrs. Wilson applauded with pride. "True child protection," Jennifer continued, "doesn't happen through dramatic rescues. It happens through education, prevention, and building communities that safeguard their children. When I decided to leave my previous career, I thought I was giving up saving people. I realized I was learning to save them in a more effective and lasting way. And I learned that our greatest strength isn't our individual skills. It's the love and support of the family we've built." After the ceremony, the family went out to dinner to celebrate. "Mom, your speech was beautiful," Emma said. "It came from the heart, sweetheart." "And it was the truth," Michael added. "You really learned how to save people in a better way." "We learned," Jennifer corrected. "All of us." "Auntie," Jason said, "can I ask you something?" "Of course." "Do you consider yourself a successful person?" Jennifer thought for a few seconds. "Jason, 15 years ago, I would have measured success by the number of people I'd saved in operations. Today, I measure it by the number of people we've kept from ever needing to be rescued." "And which one gives you more satisfaction?" "The second, because it means we're tackling the problem at its root, not just treating the symptoms." "And personally," Emma asked, "how do you measure success in your personal life?" "Personally, I consider myself very successful. I have a family who loves me, work that fulfills me, and the chance to make a difference in others' lives. Michael held her hand across the table. And you have a family that's incredibly proud of everything you've achieved. Everything we've achieved, she corrected again. Amanda smiled. Jen, you know it's always been this way, right? What do you mean? Even when we were kids, you always shared the credit with everyone. You never wanted to be the hero of the story. Because I was never the hero alone. I always had help. Exactly, Mrs. Wilson agreed. And that's what makes you special. Not just your courage or skills, but your humility and ability to work as a team. That night in the hotel in Washington, D.C., Jennifer lay awake, thinking about everything that had happened over the years. From a life of secrets and guilt, she had built one of transparency and purpose. The next morning, on the flight back to New York City, she received an unexpected call. Hello, Jennifer. It's Detective Morgan again. Hi, Detective. How are you? Good, thank you. I'm calling because we have a proposal for you. What kind of proposal? The Department of Justice wants to create a national child abduction prevention program, and they'd like you to coordinate the project. Jennifer nearly dropped the phone. What? Based on your organization's success, they want to expand the model nationwide. Detective, that's a huge responsibility. That's why they're offering it to you, because they know you have the experience and ability. I need to talk to my family. Of course. You have a week to decide. When Jennifer hung up and told her family, everyone was silent for a moment. Mum, Emma finally said, would this mean our work becomes national policy? Something like that? And would you have to travel a lot? Michael asked, concerned. Probably yes, at least at first, to implement the program in every state. What about us? Jason asked. Would the whole family move to Washington, D.C.? Not necessarily. The national coordinator can work from New York City with frequent trips to D.C. Amanda, who had been quiet during the conversation, spoke up. Jen, this is a once-in-a-lifetime chance to multiply our impact. I know, but it would also mean less time with family. Mom, Emma said, remember when you asked me if I thought you should use your skills to help people? I do. This is your chance to use those skills to help children across the United States. Michael thought for a moment. Jen, how many organizations like ours exist in the U.S.? Not many, maybe 5 or 6. And how many could there be with a national program? Hundreds. So the question is, would you rather help hundreds of children in New York City or thousands across the country? Her husband's question cut straight to the point. Michael, would you support a decision like this? I would, but on one condition. What? That I go with you, as the National Administrative Coordinator. Michael, you'd leave the family firm? Jen, I've found that working with social purpose fulfills me far more than traditional accounting. And I could help during college breaks, Emma offered. And me once I graduate, Jason added. And I could coordinate the school safety program, Amanda suggested. Jennifer looked at her family and realized they were all willing to embark on this new adventure together. Are you all sure about this? Mom, Emma said, my whole life you've made sacrifices for the family. Now it's our turn to support your dreams. Sweetheart, this isn't a sacrifice, it's growth. Exactly, Michael agreed. We're growing as a family. And as people, Amanda added. And as Americans, Jason finished. Mrs. Wilson, who had been listening quietly, finally spoke up. Jennifer, take the offer. Are you sure, Mrs. Wilson? I am, because I know you'll bring our family along and you'll do amazing work. But it would mean less time with all of you. It would mean we'd be even prouder of you, if that's possible. A week later, Jennifer called Detective Morgan. I accept the proposal, but with one condition. What? I want to bring my current team to form the core of the national program. Your family? My family and the professionals already working with us. I don't see any problem with that. In fact, it would be ideal. 3 months later, Jennifer was in Washington, D.C. for the first official meeting of the National Child Abduction Prevention Program. Dr. Thompson, the Attorney General said, it's a pleasure to have you with us. The pleasure is mine, sir. Tell us about your vision for the program. My vision is simple. We want to create a national prevention network where every community has the tools to protect its children. How would that work in practice? Through 3 pillars: preventive education, professional training, and family support networks. And the expected results? In 5 years, we aim to reduce child abductions in the US by 70%. Isn't that number overly ambitious? Sir, ambitious is the least we can be when it comes to protecting our children, the Attorney General smiled. I like your determination. The program is approved. When Jennifer left the meeting, she immediately called Michael. Sweetheart, how did it go? We did it. The program was approved. Jen, that's incredible. Michael, we're going to change the lives of millions of American children. Yes, we are. Together. In the following months, the family adjusted to their new reality. Michael arranged to work in Washington, D.C. twice a week. Emma switched to part-time remote studies to help with her mother's work. Amanda opened an office in D.C. Jason secured an internship at a hospital in the capital. Mrs. Wilson decided she wanted to contribute too. What do you mean, Mrs. Wilson? I want to volunteer for the program. Are you sure? Jennifer, I'm 72 and still full of energy. I want to use it for something meaningful. What would you like to do? Work with grandparents. Teaching other grandmothers to recognize signs of danger and protect their grandchildren. Mrs. Wilson's idea became one of the most successful components of the program. A year after implementation, the results were already visible. 15 states had established their own prevention units. Over 1,000 professionals had been trained. Hundreds of kidnapping cases had been prevented. Mom, Emma said during a family lunch in Washington, D.C., do you realize the scale of what we've accomplished? Accomplished what, sweetheart? We've created a model that's being copied by other countries in Latin America. Really? Really, Michael confirmed. I got a call from Uruguay yesterday. They want to implement a similar program. And from Chile too, Amanda added. My God, Jennifer said. I never imagined it would come to this. Aunt, Jason said. Can I say something? Of course. Remember when you asked if I was proud to have a hero for an aunt? I do. Today, I'm proud to have an aunt who changed how an entire continent protects its children. Jennifer felt her eyes well up. Jason, it wasn't just me. I know, but you were the one who led. You were the one who believed it was possible. And we were the ones who supported you, Michael added. And today, we're a family making history, Emma finished. That night, Jennifer and Michael were on the balcony of their temporary apartment in Washington, D.C., gazing at the starry sky. Michael, do you regret anything? Marrying a woman who hid her past for 15 years, he teased. Michael, just kidding, love. I don't regret a thing. Not even leaving our quiet life behind for this adventure. Jen, our life was never quiet. You just left out the most interesting part. And now? Now we're living the most intense and rewarding life I could imagine. Even with all the travel, the chaos, the responsibility. Especially because of that. Because I know every day of our work means dozens of families sleep peacefully. Michael, can I confess something? Of course. Sometimes I'm afraid all this visibility might put our family in danger. How so? Our work bothers some people. People who profit from children's vulnerability. And you think they might try to intimidate us? It's possible. Michael grew serious. Jen, do you want to stop? I don't want to stop, but I want our family to be prepared for anything. What do you propose? That we start self-defense training again, all of us, including Mrs. Wilson. Including Mrs. Wilson. She'll love that, Michael laughed. Why? Because she'll get to brag to her friends about taking self-defense classes at 72. The following week, the whole family began self-defense lessons with an instructor recommended by Amanda. Mrs. Wilson, the instructor said, are you sure you want to do this? I'm sure. I want to protect my family. But maybe a less intense course. Son, I raised 3 kids, survived 40 years of marriage, and lived through finding out my daughter-in-law is a former secret agent. I think I can handle some self-defense techniques. The instructor smiled and began the training. 3 months later, Jennifer's concern proved justified. The family started receiving anonymous threats. Michael, look at this. She showed him a letter that had arrived in the mail. Stop the program or you'll regret it. Jen, we'll take this to the police. I already did. They'll investigate. But they said threats like this are common when you disrupt criminal interests. So what do? We stay alert, and we keep working. You're not scared. I am. But I'm more scared of stopping and seeing hundreds of children left vulnerable. The threats continued for a few weeks, but nothing concrete happened. The family kept up their precautions and the work continued, until one day, Emma didn't come home from college at her usual time. Michael, Emma should have been here 2 hours ago. Has she not answered her messages? No, and that's not like her. Jennifer tried to stay calm, but her instincts as a mother and former agent were on high alert. I'll call her friends. None of Emma's friends knew where she was. The last time they'd seen her was when she left class at 4 in the afternoon. Michael, something's wrong. Jen, it could be traffic or maybe her phone died. Michael, it's 8 at night. Emma would never go this long without checking in. By 9 that evening, Jennifer's phone rang. Hello? Dr. Thompson, this is Detective Anderson from the New York City Police Department. Her heart stopped. Did something happen to my daughter? Your daughter is fine, but you need to come down to the station. Why is she at the station? She was abducted outside the college, but she managed to escape and is here giving her statement. Jennifer and Michael rushed to the police station. When they saw Emma, they hugged her tightly. Sweetheart, are you okay? I'm fine, Mom, but it was really scary. What happened? 2 men approached me outside the college. They said it was a message for you. What message? To stop the national program, or next time I wouldn't get away. Jennifer felt anger rising inside her. How did you escape? Remember those self-defense classes you insisted we take? I do. I used everything I learned and I screamed. A lot of people came to help. Detective Anderson stepped forward. Dr. Thompson, we arrested both men. They confessed they were hired to intimidate your family. Hired by who? We're still investigating, but it seems to be someone connected to a network that was dismantled because of your work. Detective, is our family in danger? We're taking all precautions. You'll be placed under temporary police protection. That night at the hotel where the police had taken them for safety, the family discussed what to do. Mom, Emma said, I don't want you to stop the program because of me. Emma, your safety is more important than any program. Mom, you always said every day of work means dozens of families can sleep peacefully. What if we stop now? If we stop now, you stay safe. But other kids will be in danger. Michael watched mother and daughter debate. Jen, what are your instincts telling you? They're telling me to protect our family above all else. And what's your heart saying? That I can't let this program die because of intimidation. So what's it gonna be? Jennifer looked at Emma, who had a small cut on her face but determination in her eyes. Emma, are you sure you want to keep going? I am, but on one condition. What? That from now on, we all stick together and we increase our security. Amanda, who had arrived at the hotel after being notified, spoke up. Jen, can I suggest something? Of course. Let's use this situation to our advantage. How so? We make what happened public. Show people there are those willing to intimidate families to protect their criminal schemes. Amanda, that could make things more dangerous. Or it could rally so much public support that they won't dare threaten us anymore. Jason, who had been quiet until then, agreed. Aunt Amanda's right. If this story goes public, we'll have the whole country behind us. And if it doesn't work? Mom, Emma said, if we don't try, we'll never know, and we'll have to live in fear forever. Michael took Jennifer's hand. Jen, it's your call. Whatever you decide, we're with you. Jennifer looked at each member of her family and saw determination on every face. All right. We're going to make this public, but with maximum security. The next day, Jennifer gave a press conference about the threats and the foiled kidnapping of Emma. Dr. Thompson, a reporter asked, aren't you afraid this exposure will increase the danger to your family? I am afraid, yes, but I'm more afraid that silence will allow these criminals to keep threatening families who work to protect children. What about the national program? Will it continue? It will continue, with even more strength, because now we know it's bothering the right people. Did your daughter support the decision to keep going? My daughter was the one who insisted the most that we continue. She said she doesn't want her experience to be in vain. The reaction to the interview was immediate. Hundreds of people sent messages of support. Politicians from all parties spoke in favor of the program. The public mobilized. A week later, Detective Anderson called Jennifer. "Dr. Thompson, we have news about the case." "What news?" "We've identified who sent the threats. It was the leader of a kidnapping ring that was dismantled thanks to your program." "Was he arrested?" "He was arrested along with 15 others from the organization." "Does this mean our family is safe?" "It means this specific threat has been neutralized, but we always recommend you keep taking precautions." That night, the family celebrated with a special dinner. "Mom," Emma said, "can I say something?" "Of course, sweetheart. I'm proud I was kidnapped." "What do you mean, Emma?" "Because my failed kidnapping showed that the program is working, that it's bothering the criminals, and that our family won't be intimidated." "Honey, you could have been seriously hurt." "I could have, but I wasn't. And I helped arrest 15 criminals." Michael smiled. "Our daughter takes after her mother." "How so?" "Turning a traumatic experience into motivation to help others." "Dad, I learned from the best example." Jennifer hugged her daughter. "Emma, you've taught me that courage is hereditary, but it's also a choice." "What do you mean? You could have been scared and asked us to stop everything, but you chose to be brave." "I learned from a brave family." 2 years later, the National Child Abduction Prevention Program had become an international model. Delegations from 20 countries had visited the United States to learn about the methodology. Jennifer was in her office in Washington, D.C., when she received an international call. "Hello, Dr. Thompson. This is Dr. Johnson from the United Nations." "Hello, Dr. Johnson. We'd like to invite you to present your program at the UN General Assembly." "At the UN? Are you serious?" "Very serious. Your work has caught international attention." When Jennifer told the family about the invitation, everyone was thrilled. "Mom, you're going to speak at the UN," Emma shouted. "We're going to speak at the UN," Jennifer corrected, "because you're all coming with me." "All of us?" "All of us. The program is the result of our whole family's work." "Jen," Michael said, "are you sure you want to take us?" "I am, because I want the world to know that big changes happen when families come together for a cause." "What about me?" Mrs. Wilson asked. "Can I go too?" "Of course you can, Grandma," Emma replied. "You're our expert in grandma mobilization." A month later, the whole family was in New York City at the United Nations building. "Mom, are you nervous?" Emma asked before the presentation. "I am, but not about speaking to the diplomats. I'm nervous about representing all the work we've done together with dignity." "Mom, just be yourself. Tell our story." "Our story is pretty crazy, isn't it?" "It is, but it's real. And it's inspiring." In the General Assembly Hall, Jennifer stepped up to the podium and looked at the audience filled with representatives from countries all over the world. "Distinguished delegates, my name is Jennifer Thompson, and I'm here to tell you a story about second chances, family, and the power of prevention." She spoke about her past career, about the years of guilt, about the family that rebuilt her life, about the national program they created together. "This program exists because my family taught me that the best way to save people is to prevent them from needing to be saved. And it works because it was built not by a government agency, but by a family that decided to turn their personal experience into public good." In the audience, Michael, Emma, Amanda, Jason, and Mrs. Wilson watched with pride. "The numbers speak for themselves," Jennifer continued. "In 3 years, we reduced child kidnapping in the United States by 65%. But more important than numbers are the families that sleep peacefully every night. This model can be replicated anywhere in the world because it's not based on complex technology or enormous budgets. It's based on communities working together to protect their children." Jennifer's presentation received a standing ovation that lasted 5 minutes. After the presentation, several representatives approached to learn more about the program. "Dr. Thompson, the representative from France, said, "We would like to invite your team to help us implement this model in Europe." Dr. Jennifer, the representative from Japan, added, "Asia is also very interested." Dr. Thompson, the representative from South Africa, concluded, "Africa needs this program urgently." Jennifer looked at her family, who were watching everything with admiration. "I'm honored by your invitations, but any implementation of this program must respect local cultures and be led by local families." "What do you mean?" "I mean that we can teach the methodology, but each country must find their own Jennifer, their own family willing to lead the change." That night, at the hotel in New York, the family discussed the international proposals. "Mom, do you realize that today you became a global role model?" Emma asked. "We became a global role model, sweetheart." "No, Mom. You were the one who led everything from the beginning." "Emma, without you all, I wouldn't have had the courage to even tell the truth about my past. But you were the one who made the tough decisions," Michael said. "Michael, you could have left me when you found out about the lies. You could have refused to support the work. You could have stayed in New York City when I decided to accept the national program." "Jen, and why would I do that?" "Because it would have been easier, safer, more predictable." "Love, I don't love you because it's easy. I love you because it's true." Jason stood up from his chair. "Can I say something?" "Of course." "Today, listening to Aunt Jen's presentation at the UN, I finally understood something." "What?" "That heroes aren't special people who do impossible things. They're ordinary people who decide to do what's right, even when it's hard." "Jason, Aunt Jen, you're not a hero because you saved hundreds of people. You're a hero because you built a family based on truth, love, and purpose." Jennifer felt her eyes well up. "Jason, this family saved me much more than I ever saved anyone. And now we're going to save families all over the world," Mrs. Wilson said, surprising everyone. "What do you mean, Grandma? Do you think I'll just sit still while my family becomes an international model? I'm going to help train grandmothers all over the world." Everyone laughed at Mrs. Wilson's determination. "Mrs. Wilson, are you sure you want to travel the world at 74? Jennifer, I'm 74 and still full of energy, and now I have a global purpose." 6 months later, the family was implementing prevention programs in 15 countries. Michael had become an international expert in social program management. Emma had switched to international psychology and was interning in different countries. Jason had earned a scholarship to study preventive medicine in Europe. Amanda had founded an international family security consulting firm, and Mrs. Wilson had become the global coordinator of the Protective Grandparents Program. "Mom," Emma said during a family video call. Jason was in Germany, Amanda in France, and Mrs. Wilson in Canada. "Do you realize our family is literally changing the world?" "I do, sweetheart, and sometimes I still can't believe it's real." "But it is real," Michael said, "and it all started with a decision you made 4 years ago to tell the truth to your family." "Michael, if I hadn't spoken up, none of this would have happened." "Exactly. That's why the truth is always the best path." "Even when it's hard," Amanda added from France. "Especially when it's hard," Jason finished from Germany. "And when the truth is about love and courage, it always wins," Mrs. Wilson concluded from Canada. A year later, Jennifer was back in the United States for the launch of the second phase of the national program. "Dr. Thompson," the Attorney General said, "in 5 years, you've turned the United States into the safest country in Latin America for children." "Attorney General, this was the result of collective action. Government, civil society, families, all working together. But the leadership was yours. The leadership came from necessity. When a child is in danger, leadership emerges naturally." That evening in the New York City apartment where it had all begun, Jennifer was alone for a few hours while the family was out on separate commitments. She went to the bedroom and opened the closet where she had hidden her old medals for so many years. The medals were still there, but now they shared space with international awards, photos with world leaders, and recognition from humanitarian organizations. But what moved her most were the family photos, pictures of them all together in different countries, working, laughing, growing together. One photo in particular caught her eye. It was from 6 months ago in Switzerland, when the whole family had gathered for the launch of the European program. In the photo, everyone was smiling, embracing, happy. But more than that, they were united. Jennifer held the photo and remembered her conversation with Brian at the Westfield Mall 4 years earlier. If someone had told her back then that lying about her sister would lead to uncovering the truth about her family, she wouldn't have believed it. But that's exactly what happened. Brian's lie forced Jennifer to tell the truth. And the truth didn't just free her, it freed the whole family. The phone rang, interrupting her thoughts. "Hello? Mom?" It was Emma calling from London. "Hi, sweetheart. How are you?" "Good. I'm calling because I have some news." "What news?" "I've chosen my dissertation topic." "What topic?" "The impact of family secrets on identity and purpose." Jennifer smiled. "And why did you pick that topic?" "Because I want to study how families that go through traumatic revelations can become stronger and more united." "And what will be your case study?" "Our family, Mum. With everyone's permission, of course." "Emma, you want to turn our story into academic research?" "I want to turn our story into hope for other families going through similar situations." "Sweetheart, if this can help others, you have my blessing." "Thank you, Mom. I love you." "I love you too, honey." After hanging up, Jennifer looked at the photos again. She thought of all the families they'd helped over the years. She thought of the children who were safe because of their work. But most of all, she thought of her own family, how they had moved from a life of secrets and guilt to one of purpose and transparency. The phone rang again. This time it was Michael. "Hi, love. Where are you?" "At home, looking at old photos." "Feeling nostalgic?" "Thoughtful." "About what?" "About how we got here." "And what's your conclusion?" "That every hard moment was worth it." "Even the 15 years of guilt?" "Even the 15 years of guilt, because they prepared me to value this family even more." "Jen, can I ask you something?" "Of course." "If you could send a message to the Jennifer from 15 years ago, what would you say?" Jennifer thought for a few seconds. "I'd say, Jennifer, tell the truth. Don't be afraid of being judged by the people who love you. And most of all, don't carry guilt alone. Family exists to share the burdens and multiply the joys." That's a beautiful message. It's a true message. Jen, are you happy? Michael, I'm more than happy. I'm complete. Even with all the responsibilities, travels, pressures. Especially because of that. Because I know everything we do has a purpose. And do you know you have a family that supports you in everything? I do. And that's what gives me the strength to keep going. An hour later, the whole family had arrived home. Amanda and Jason were visiting the United States for a week. "Mom," Emma said, "I was thinking about something." "About what?" "About how our story is different from the ones we see on TV." "How so?" "On TV, there's always a lone hero who saves everyone by themselves." "And our story?" "Our story shows that the greatest rescues happen when entire families come together for a cause." Michael smiled. Emma's right. Our strength was never individual. It was always collective. Exactly, Amanda agreed. Each of us contributes with our unique skills. And together we can do so much more than anyone could alone, Jason added. Mrs. Wilson, who was knitting on the couch, looked up. "Can I say something?" "Of course, Grandma. I'm 74 years old, and I've seen a lot in life, but I've never seen a family transform so much and in such a beautiful way." "What do you mean, Mrs. Wilson?" "You went from secrets to truth, from fear to courage, from the individual to the collective, and from the local to the global," Emma added. "But the most important thing," Jennifer said, "is that we went from guilt to forgiveness." "Forgiveness?" Jason asked. "Yes, I forgave myself for not saving your mother in that operation. Your mother forgave me for the choice I made. You all forgave me for lying for 15 years. Mum, you didn't lie," Emma corrected. "You omitted parts of your story to protect us." "Is that different?" "It's very different. A lie is saying something false. Omission is not telling something true. And what's the practical difference?" "The difference is intention. You omitted to protect, you didn't omit to deceive." Michael walked over to his wife. "Jen, Emma's right. And besides, When you felt safe enough to tell, you did, even at the risk of losing you all. But you didn't lose us, because true love isn't lost with the truth. It's strengthened by the truth, Amanda finished. That night, after everyone had gone to bed, Jennifer stayed on the balcony, looking out at New York City. She thought about the perfume saleswoman she was 4 years ago, a woman haunted by the past, hiding behind a false identity, carrying guilt alone. Now, she was an internationally recognized woman, surrounded by a family that supported her, working to protect children all over the world. But more than any external recognition, she had peace. Peace with herself, with her past, with her choices. And she had purpose, a purpose bigger than herself, but one she could only fulfill because of the family around her. Her phone buzzed with a message. It was from Ethan, the boy they'd saved in Washington, D.C. 3 years ago. Aunt Jennifer, I got into law school. I'm going to specialize in children's rights. Thank you for saving me and for teaching me that saving others is the best way to give meaning to our own salvation. Jennifer smiled and replied, Ethan, you were the one who taught us that every child saved is a future protected. We're proud of you. She put away the phone and looked back at the city. Tomorrow would be another day of work. More meetings, more planning, more families to help. But today had been a day of reflection, a day to understand that all the difficult paths had led exactly where they were meant to lead, to a united family, to a clear purpose, to a meaningful life. Michael stepped onto the balcony. Can't sleep? I could, but I wanted to savor this moment. What moment? This moment of pure gratitude. Gratitude for what? For everything. For the past that taught me, for the present that fulfills me, for the future we'll build together. Jen, can I kiss you? You may. They kissed on the balcony as the city sparkled below them. Michael, I love you. I love you too. Forever. Forever. The end of the story. So, what did you think of this story of courage, family, and second chances? Tell us in the comments if you believe Jennifer made the right decisions throughout her journey. Would you have done the same in her place? And if you had a family like this, one that stood by you through every tough moment? Share your thoughts. We love reading every heartfelt comment from you. Don't forget to like if the story touched your heart, and most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other moving stories like this one.